Hey guys, meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this On the Snow Before You Go forecast. My headlines as we move through the next 5 to 7 days. We have this rich Pacific Northwest flow right now, including BC. Well, some of that's going to break loose and hit the interior Rockies 12-7 through 12-10. There's actually two different waves of moisture. You can see the timing right there for Colorado, Utah, Wyoming. Late 12-7 in Colorado through about early 12-9. In Utah, Wyoming, it's 12-7, 12-8. And that second wave on 12-10 is much, much lighter. The first wave is really the one that delivers the accumulation, the bigger accumulation. And we're also going to talk about a big eastern storm system, very windy and initially warm storm system. My first stop is to water vapor satellite imagery. And again, oranges and reds on this represent your drier air aloft, your moisture transports aloft, and the whites and the blues. So big area of low pressure hitting the Pacific Northwest and BC, another one behind it. So both of these areas of low pressure will play into the forecast. Those are the two different waves of moisture that will follow the jet. You can see what's happening. It goes up and over and then down, and it's helping to kind of feed the development of that eastern storm system on 12-10, 12-11. But that's going to be the flow. Here's the forecast radar and satellite. So by Thursday morning, this is the setup. Early 12-7, you've already got snow moving out of the Pacific Northwest and into Idaho, into Montana, into the Tetons, into the Wasatch. And by the time we get into the afternoon, it's the same thing. Even some snow clipping Tahoe in northern California as well. Some of that snow begins to flow down into the central and northern mountains of Colorado. By the time we get into 12-8, it's the same thing. The snow is digging a little further to the south, so you've got snow in Idaho, the Tetons, the Wasatch, and through the western slope of Colorado at that point. By 12-8 in the afternoon, snow is much more widespread in Colorado, in fact, all the way down into Denver at 5280. So this is definitely cold enough. Temperatures will be falling for basically an all-snow event here as we slide through the day on 12-8. Now, by the time we get into 12-9, it's just leftovers, and then it all begins to move away. And then we get a little bit of a quieter period, but it's short-lived. Look at the energy coming out. This is the second wave. It's much, much lighter and minor, but it does drop a couple of inches of snow. And then by the time we get into 12-11, there isn't much left. So the first wave is the bigger one. The second one on 12-10 is much, much lighter. All right, let me show you the jet setup for all of this. So this is 12-8. This is the larger wave, the area of low pressure. You can see the trough, the dip in the jet over Colorado, Wyoming. That'll support the development and the snow production with that initial low. By the time we get in 12-10, this is the smaller one. It's more progressive west to east flow, so it's all going to be moving much faster. There just isn't much of a chance to develop with that. On 12-15, way down the road, we may have a low try to develop in southern Colorado, southeast Colorado. Confidence is low. If it does develop, that would spread some additional accumulation through southern Colorado and the mountains and also northern New Mexico. So we'll have to wait and see. As far as totals go, 12-7 through 12-11, anywhere from 8 to 16 for the Wasatch. And again, that captures the first wave and the second wave. That's the same for the Tetons, 12 to 14. In Colorado, most of the snow is in the central and northern mountains, anywhere from 4 to 12 inches, less in southern Colorado. Doing pretty good in Idaho, especially around Brundage and the central mountains there. You could see over a foot, well over a foot there. And Big Sky seems to do okay, 8 to 10, and probably 5 to 8 through northwest Montana. Look at the Pacific Northwest, anywhere from 10 to 20 inches. Interior BC does all right as well. Let's head to the northeast. So this is a tricky forecast, right? Because most of the storm, you're in the warm sector through Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So it'll start as rain. And it does turn over to snow once the cold air comes in on that colder western side with the front. So you'll get some snow accumulation on the backside. But again, you're starting off as rain and then going to snow. New York State seems to do okay with this. Snow Ridge is probably going to get, probably 8 to 10 inches of accumulation out of this. All right, so then here's the setup with this. With this large eastern storm system, you can see, there's a lot of jet energy. The low is being coddled through the Ohio Valley, and then it's going to sweep up into the northeast. But that puts you on the warm side of the jet in parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Here's how that actually looks as a forecast on 12-10 at 5 p.m. All of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine is in rain. In the warm sector, the cold air on the western side is what's going to change over to snow. That's the cold front. So initially rain and then changing over to snow. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this On the Snow Before You Go forecast. Take care and have a great day.